Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back down under the mat. We are here in Madison Square Garage around the pool table of relevancy. We are 7 days away from WrestleMania. 8 days. 8 days away from WrestleMania. And we're here to talk about all things professional wrestling. We've had a big weekend. I mean, it's only Saturday as we're recording this. We had a big Friday night. Heading up to Sydney for PWA Chefs versus Troy. It was a great show. Crowned a new champion in the main event as well.
Champion retained their title.
Good old Robbie retained his Soul of PWA championship as well, so love to see that. Yeah, been good times. Let's kick it off right into it with the opening of Monday Night Raw. The Women's World Heavyweight Championship triple threat is official. We have had a contract signed.
Settle down, Adam Pearce. It is official.
Official.
I mean, you've got the head for it.
I do. It's not freshly shaven.
That's all right.
Which is very unlike me for recording a podcast. But
That's why you got your cool hat on.
Yeah.
Thank goodness this is finally done.
yeah, thank goodness it's finally official. Like, they dragged it out too long.
I think this was it was a good segment. EO stole the limelight coming out, if you know what we're talking about here. And I think that, again, her being disrespected as the champion, being pie-faced again by Rhea and
time again. She's had enough.
She's had enough. It's her championship. She's the champion.
That was a huge springboard dropkick. Just
Massive.
like shoving Rhea. I'm pretty sure I saw a photo after Raw that Rhea was a little bruised because she went straight into Bianca's shoulder.
Yep.
Hopefully it's not going to be too bad next week for WrestleMania.
Oh, I'm sure they'll be fine. They'll put on a banger of a match. But like,
Bunch of makeup too.
I think it was good that EO gets the final say in this
Yeah.
case because
Yeah.
everybody so far it's always been between what Bianca and Rhea are doing and how that's going to make it into a triple threat. And EO has, I don't know, it's been the booking of it, but has been the third wheel in her own championship match. And I like that they're giving her these moments where she is on top of the other two.
Yeah.
And I think you'll see that in the match when they're going to have the triple threat, that I think EO will continuously take opportunities from the other two people where Bianca and Rhea are fighting each other and doing something, and then EO will moonsault over them. Or they'll be fighting and taking advantage of something, and then EO will sneak up for a roll-up and things like that. I think she's got to pick her spots in that match because a lot of the focus from Rhea and Bianca is on each other. And I think that makes a very entertaining and an interesting triple threat because EO's the champion. Rhea has never beaten Io Sky.
Yep.
Bianca technically has a winning streak at WrestleMania. Rhea is the massive fan favorite to win her title back.
It's
Who loses? Who takes the pin?
Match. I really hope, honestly, I hope Io Sky retains.
I kind of feel like that too.
Yeah. And especially with the way they've been building up, they've been putting so much focus on Rhea and Bianca and them going head to head and just shoving Io to the side consistently. Mm-hmm. I feel like this is kind of like building up to have a bit of a showcase for Io at WrestleMania, and she comes out on top.
And I hope so too, because it's the second WrestleMania in a row that Io's walked in as the women's champion.
Yeah, with a different title.
Different title. Yeah. Last year she obviously dropped it to Bayley.
I hope she doesn't.
I hope she doesn't this time. I hope she retains. And maybe we get a Rhea and Bianca rebound match at Backlash or whatever without the title, with just the two of them. And then Io can have, a couple of months of other matches against other people on the card. Get her away from Bianca and Rhea and build one of them up eventually to then take the title at SummerSlam in a few months' time.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to talk about the Women's Intercontinental Championship match next, but I want to preface that by saying once we talk about this, I want to go and talk about the rest of the women's division. So we'll cover up
Reece is a bit feisty.
We'll cover off what happened on SmackDown as well as what happened with Lyra versus Bayley for the women's.
This was the greatest women's match in the history of wrestling. I was pretty sure the way Michael Cole was calling it.
Look, it was pretty good.
I mean, it was.
It was a pretty good match.
This was the greatest match we've ever seen. These two women are
bit of a stretch. And just having it on a random Raw, and here's where I'm going to start.
Please do. I'm going to get comfortable, ladies and gents. Let's let Reece go.
Very shortly after Lyra won this match. Bailey kind of like half-assed gave her some respect and like stormed out of the ring, like hand.
Mm-hmm.
Went to shake her hand, no, stormed out of the ring, came back in, gave her a hug, raised her hand. They showed a little bit of tension. And then from there, they announced that they're going to be in a women's tag team championship #1 contenders.
They were already
gauntlet
announced
match.
for that.
Oh, they were?
Yep.
Okay.
That was announced last week.
That's the first fucking problem that we have here. Why are you announcing a tag team who are then going to be facing each other on Raw and then tag teaming in a gauntlet match on SmackDown? Next, my problem. Them winning that gauntlet is the dumbest thing in the world. You have your women's mid-card championship, which has been around for only a handful of months now.
Mm-hmm.
And you have nothing for either of them, to be honest, moving into WrestleMania. Neither of them are booked yet in a singles match for their championships, which they should be because they are brand new championships. And you had an opportunity to have them defended on WrestleMania for the first time. But because of the way that they're booking things and how they're writing the stories right now, it's not happening. But having them go through actual legitimate tag teams, winning with two back-to-back roll-ups in consecutive matches.
Love that.
Each of them hitting their finishes in the next consecutive matches to get the victory, and then like a teaming situation in the last fall to get that #1 contendership. Like, why do we keep having these stories done? Why do we keep throwing two random competitors together and then having them go over the top of actual tag teams?
So I can't answer that question for you.
I don't understand why we're still doing this. Shayna and Zoe are just floundering around at the moment. They had a really good opportunity. I get that it would have been heels versus heel if they had won.
Oh,
You've got a really good opportunity to prop them back up in the women's tag team division. You've also got the party girls. As much as we're not enamored by them, like you had the opportunity to propel them back up and shit, just like feed them to Liv and Raquel at WrestleMania. I don't care, but putting two singles competitors together as a tag team is dumb. One of them being the mid-card championship. And then we move on to the other women's mid-card championship, the United States Championship, which Chelsea Green has. A count-out loss? Are you kidding me? Like, what are you doing? What are they doing with this entire women's division right now? Over both shows, the booking has been very questionable leading into their biggest spectacle pay-per-view of the year.
And I'll add to that the only, I think, correctly booked part of the women's division so far has been the Raw triple threat with those three.
Yeah.
Although it took too long, but we got the right result.
There.
And we knew it was all going to get that way anyway. The Charlotte and Tiffy stuff, which obviously we've had our very vocal opinions on Charlotte's performance from last week's SmackDown. And if you do agree or disagree with us, go look at our TikToks and Instagram clips of those because a few people haven't and they don't necessarily agree that we think Charlotte is the one who derailed that. But anyway, keep that opinion to yourself.
I was expecting more people to come to Charlotte's defense when we put those clips out, but we've had a lot of people be like, yeah, we agree with you. Like, we're on your bandwagon.
That match itself hasn't been built well and was definitely derailed last week with all those comments. So I don't think that's going too well either. And then on SmackDown this week, you have Tiffy announced to have a match, which was quite good with Roxanne Perez. And literally everybody had thought when Roxanne was the Iron Woman and came second in the Rumble, sweet, she's done.
Yeah.
She's not doing anything else in NXT. She's coming up to the main roster. We'll use her. We'll put her in a match with Bailey.
The chamber as well.
Yep, and she was in the chamber, but she had those good series of matches with Bailey. We're like, sweet, there's your WrestleMania feud, or at least your stand and deliver feud. You're going to have Roxy against Bailey. Cool, that's good. So what we all wanted to see because those matches were...
And then they floundered within weeks.
Roxanne just goes missing for a month. No one sees her. And then on the SmackDown, you just decide, yeah, let's just have Tiffy and Roxy have a really good match for no apparent reason. Like, it's so poorly booked. Question I'm going to pose to you, Reece, because I know you're very opinionated right now on this women's mid-card division, and we both discussed that we would have liked the Secret Hervis, maybe to get a shot at the tag titles, to have Chelsea and the Hervis all with titles. That would look sick.
Yeah.
Which do you prefer? The current shambles, that is the Intercontinental and US women's divisions, where you don't know where the matches are going, nothing's of any great importance, the titles don't feel like much, but, you know, they're kind of there, or the women's TBS title in AEW with Mercedes Moné winning every single match for a year and a half. Which one would you prefer? Tough putting you on the spot.
I'll side with WWE because I just have that.
It's because we hate AEW. Much show. That's why.
No, it's because I hate Mercedes. Moni. If this is what they're going to do with the Women's Mid-Card Championships, what was the point of bringing them in to begin with?
I agree.
It's getting to the stage where they've done no, like, real thrilling storylines for them. We had Chelsea and Michin, which was done and dusted and I was over with before they even had the inaugural United States Women's Championship match. And then they continued it on for weeks after that as well, which was just, that got super draining. And then this stuff with Zelina is just, it's not hitting right. You had her face Piper and then lose when she's trying to like build her way up to face Chelsea to try and take the title. And then now just giving her a random like count out win over Chelsea, just like doesn't make sense. Just make it make sense. Get better booking for the women's division. It's got
to be the women's division because
we've got Women's Evolution coming up again in I think July. It's been confirmed.
Assumedly. Has it been confirmed?
Well, it's been like internally confirmed. No announcement yet. Everyone's expecting it to get announced during WrestleMania weekend next week.
Makes sense.
So we've got that pay-per-view coming up. What, are we just going to like flounder around and book a bunch of random stories for that too?
Well, the problem is it's the women's side of it, right? It's the women's side of the mid-card because the men's side of the mid-card, LA Knight, although horribly, closed out SmackDown with his feud with Jacob Fatu for the US title going
You really
into
hate
WrestleMania.
that BFT, don't you?
Sucks so much. And the Intercontinental is the Fatal 4-Way on Raw that's been, multiple segments every week on there. Again, was headlined with Penta and Dom on Raw like this week. So those mid-card titles are being booked into feuds correctly the way they should be and given the right prestige for what those mid-card belts are. Whereas the women's ones, they're just going missing and they're props and it really shouldn't be that way.
It's just pathetic, man. Like you bring in titles to give your women more opportunity, but then you don't give them good opportunities. Lyra should not be in a tag team championship match at WrestleMania. She should be defending her title, putting prestige on it, getting defended on the grandest stage of them all.
And Bayley should be in a singles match. Liv should be probably in a singles match as well, but if you want to have her as the tag champ, that's fine, but have her defended against a tag team.
Yes,
not against two others.
Random
and let's expand it a bit more if we really want to and bring it into NXT. That is probably the best women's division anywhere. How they've kind of fumbled that in the last 2 months with Julia copping an injury, which sucks, but she's back already, so it was less than 4 weeks. Why did she drop her title if she was going to be around in a month's time? Because the assumption was, Julia's out for a while, she can't do stand and deliver, make her drop the title. No, she's back before stand and deliver. She could have just held that title. And then you had Stephanie, win the match, have both belts, and then just vacate one of the titles, only for Julia to come back and then challenge her as heel for the other one that she had. So the vacated title is now going up in some ladder match at Stand and Deliver without either of the people that used to have it. It just doesn't, like that to me is a dropping of what that division should be as well.
Oh, absolutely. And that was the thing when Stephanie got both belts. She managed to successfully defend them both in one night, 2 weeks after she gained them, which we were surprised about. But then coming out after you've successfully defended both belts in one night and then the following week vacating it because you want to give more opportunity to the women's division, you just proved that you can pull double duty the week prior and retain both championships.
And this is not a gripe from us.
That 1 week turnaround made no logical sense in terms of storytelling.
And this isn't a gripe for us on the women's wrestlers.
No, absolutely not. It's just a storytelling.
It's the booking of them. You look at Jade and Naomi, as much as Reece hates Glow, that's been booked well.
Naomi's been fucking fire lately. Her promos, like her vignettes that she's been getting, the one this week again.
Proceed with caution.
Well, it's taking a bit to get me on board with that tagline, but like just having that different character for her, she's conveying different emotions. She's kind of like angry, but she's conniving in a way. She's really getting a chance to show like how much she can do as a character instead of just being like, hey, yeah, Glow, woo, which I got over like 10 years ago.
Yeah, but the shoes are cool.
She's cool.
Yeah.
Shoes are cool.
But that's our gripe. Okay, women's division, book it better, please.
Just book it better.
You have so much talent, and it's just not going where it needs to go.
And I guess because we've touched on everything else with the women's story, we'll quickly tie off the Tiffy Roxanne segment with Tiffy was attacked by Charlotte earlier in the day prior to SmackDown in the parking lot. Charlotte got told to go home, and then she came out and assaulted Tiffy after the match.
And I think this was booked very clearly to say neither of you have a microphone in your hands.
Yes,
And don't talk. We don't want any more of that.
I think this came across a lot better, just having them, because we know now that we've had that farce of an in-ring promo last week and the backlash for that, I think this was a step in the right direction to get everything back on track and get people reinvested in that story. I really liked Wade Barrett stepping in as well. He did that with Drew and Punk stuff last year, and he's now doing it. And you could hear him in the camera microphones. He's like, I'm trying to protect you. You're going to get fired if you keep going.
Yep.
So,
voice of logic, and I think that's sometimes needed, especially when people get so passionate in these promos and stuff, and then they go off track like they did last week. I think Wade, obviously, he was the one in the ring when they had that segment as well. So having him involved here, I think was the right choice. But 100% much better usage of them, not giving the microphones, not going off on tangents. You can clearly tell, and from all of the news that's come out throughout the week, that there was heat on both Charlotte and Tiffy backstage. More on Charlotte being the vet, I guess, that she should have handled herself better in front of that crowd that was constantly booing her. Shock horror, the crowd is booing Charlotte Flair.
And it's Chicago. Oh my God, no way.
Who would have thought that was coming? But that obviously was sort of not taken too well backstage, and I think that they've maybe reinvested how they were going to finish the end of this feud before they hit the WrestleMania match. It'll be a good match. I don't think anyone's ever doubted the in-ring capabilities of what this will be. I just kind of want to see it get done now and have them separate and move away. Because I think at no point, unless everyone comes out and says, oh, it's all big worky work, McShoot face, we're actually best friends and it was all fine. If that doesn't happen, I don't think anybody else will believe that they can work together really well.
And that's the thing I'm concerned about with this match, because I know how Charlotte's gotten prior. Like, there was a match that she had with Nia Jax a few years back.
Yeah, but she sandbagged her.
Yeah, and then they literally got into a tussle in the middle of the ring because Charlotte can't put her ego aside to just do business with people.
Yep.
And I'm worried, with these comments about her divorce and her life outside of professional wrestling by Tiffy, I'm worried that she's going to not put that aside and just do what's best for business and put on a good match with Tiffy. Because I reckon this could be a caliber match like Rhea and Charlotte was at WrestleMania 38. We've got the potential to have a real cracker women's match if Charlotte just puts her ego inside, does business, just goes out and wrestles.
All right. What else happened on Raw?
We got the confirmation after American Made, featuring El Grande Americano, defeated the LWO. And El Grande Americano will have his debut WrestleMania match.
Wow, what a moment.
Against the Hall of Famer Lucha Libre artist, Rey Mysterio. Oh, he is too.
We got Ray around.
Yeah, look, if you had to talk to me a month ago and said that this was going to be a match on WrestleMania card, I would have been like, who's El Grande Americano? And why is he facing Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania?
But now you're still saying, who is El Grande Americano?
Who is he? We need to know.
But I can't wait to see him have a match with Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, it's just... I don't even know what to say, man. I find it funny that they're doing this match at WrestleMania.
Oh, I think it's a showcase match, to be fair. Let's be honest here. I'd like to say I'm more than 70% sure that El Grande Americano gets demasked already and in the WrestleMania match. But Ray, as the baby face, shouldn't be wanting to demask another luchador. The way you pay that off is that he's not a luchador. It's Chad Gable. So, I mean, that's kind of one way of looking at it.
But we've just conveniently never seen them in the same place.
I would love to see this absolutely overbooked, right? And I would love to see a great match happen. 1, 2, 3, Rey Mysterio wins. A Grande Americano runs and then falls outside of the ring, rolls underneath the ring, and somebody else rolls out. And you don't notice that it happens.
And it's Aleister Black.
No, but it's just like some body double, somebody else, and Ray unmasks that person, and it's not Chad Gable. That
would be absolutely.
And then everyone's
madness.
Like, what? And then Chad somehow from under the ring quickly gets changed and ducks, this Undertaker styles, runs back through the crowd and comes out and be like, "What's going on? What happened to American Made? What's going on?" If they could pull that off, if
they can pull that off, that's going to be absolute cinema.
Otherwise, it's going to be a pretty much one and done.
And I think we need something like that for WrestleMania. I feel like we always need to have some sort of match where it's going to be like a bit lighthearted, a bit
Yes.
like tongue-in-cheek sort of thing. And I feel like that's definitely going to be that match this year.
Yeah.
And I expect to be laughing and hurting from laughing
And
after
I think
the match
like,
is done.
this could be a spot fest. I mean, Chad Gable is brilliant in ring. He works better than most people within the WWE. And Ray, even for his age, can really still move and put on a bunch of stuff. So I think that they'll have a good match in ring. They'll do a bunch of good spots. I do anticipate that the American Made and the LWO get involved. I do want to shout out...
It's going to be Bloodline Room.
Not quite. I do want to shout out the LWO for their match on Raw. Joaquin Wilde and
They're so entertaining. They really don't get enough TV time.
The amount of flippy tricks that they did from inside the ring to outside of the ring. There was the point when they were all going corner to corner, running around and stuff. Very a la Velocities, if you're an Australian local wrestling fan. Like, you've seen how they do that kind of stuff. Those guys are really good. Give them more matches.
Give them more matches.
Like,
they
don't have
titles, mate.
they don't have a lot of charisma in terms of who they are, but they don't really need to on the mic and stuff, right? You just need to let them get in there, do all their flippy stuff, and the crowd's going to cheer the crap out of them because they're awesome to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll pivot to another lucha that was on Monday Night Raw this week. Lucha.
I don't know why we're doing the fingers. Is that part of it?
Yeah, they used to be.
Was it?
Well, that's not just a dropouts thing, man.
Okay. I mean, I
stole it from the Lucha Brothers.
I instantly...
Not the Lucha Brothers, the Lucha House Party.
Lucha House... Oh, that was Lucha House Party.
Lucha. Anyway, Penta defeats Dominic Mysterio in a one-on-one match, and then we get absolute chaos. This spear from Bron Breakker to Carlito. It's doing the rounds on social media. It's going viral. It's insane.
I think my favorite part to that was Carlito's tweet afterwards. Letting everybody know that his funeral will be on Friday and for like everyone to keep his family and their thoughts and prayers throughout the week. Yeah, absolutely. Dude, that speech was sick.
So good.
But really well done in the way that you have told this IC story, right? It was a good match between Penta and Dom. Penta was looking for the Mexican Destroyer. Dom reversed and he hit it on Penta. There was a bunch of flippy stuff. He hit the arm thingy on Dom. Like, it was all really well done. Bron then comes out, tears him down. Bit of a brawl everywhere, and then Finn sneaks in as the veteran, dodges the spear, dodges the moves, and stays on top at the end. Yeah. Setting that, the veteran wrestler in Finn Balor is untouchable in the ring, but he's the one that's going to, be able to calculate what everyone else does, and he'll win the title. And Dom losing all of the time means that he's the one that got snuck in just because Liv got him a spot in the match. And Penta's the new hotness, and Bron Breakker, no one can beat him. Dom's winning this match.
Oh, absolutely.
Dom's winning this IC title. He's pinning Finn Balor for it as well.
Yep.
We're breaking up the Judgment Day. This whole thing has been booked really well in that each different person has their own story with each other and with the match, and they all have a legitimate gripe on this title. And I think it's probably a smoky for being one of the best matches on the card.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting. And I can see a way that they can finish that match with absolute chaos. Everyone's been hitting their finishes. And then somehow Finn's laid out, Dom's left in the ring, and he kind of like looks around. And he's just like, shit, he gets up, frog splash, pin, done. And that's how he gets the title. I could see them putting in to try and put in that little bit of doubt that Dom might not capitalize on Finn to get this opportunity.
To choose or not to do it.
Yeah, to like figure out, shit, should I take advantage of Finn, who's my buddy, like we're in a faction together. Yeah. We're in the Judgment Day. Do I take advantage of him to get a title or not?
Yes, you do.
And
and you pin him.
I think it's going to be a real fun match at WrestleMania. Should we just make this our preview of WrestleMania podcast? Because we're just talking about WrestleMania.
Nah, we'll do a separate one. We'll go through the whole match card at some point.
The Monday Night Raw Tag Team Championships.
Yep.
Were defended by the War Raiders against New Day. And the New Day are your victors by disqualification. So Ivar, no, he didn't introduce the chair, but he hit Xavier Woods.
So Xavier Woods put the chair in. I thought Woods was going to do the Eddie Guerrero spot.
Yeah.
But then he didn't, and he just sort of let it go.
And then Ivar just
banged him with it.
Hits it. Right as the ref turns around, and he's just like, "What you doing?" And then I thought it was a bit of a cop-out, but then we've since had the confirmation that they will be having a rematch, and that is on your WrestleMania Night 1 card.
Yeah.
Night 1? Correct us in the comments if it's not.
It's on WrestleMania, we know that much.
Yes, absolutely.
Look, I think this will be a good match, and I think the New Day will win it. I think they probably need to capitalize finally on their massive heel turn on Big E and all of the heel work they've been doing in the last few months and give them a title and let them run with it. No discredit to the War Raiders. They've actually been really fun and they've been really entertaining in the ring. Both of those guys are great, but I feel like they are a bit more like your Cody Rhodes and your Street Profits and stuff where they are better chasers than they are champions.
Yeah.
And I think that taking the titles off the War Raiders, giving them to the New Day, and then having the War Raiders have to chase back through that tag division.
Yeah. I don't think that's going to hinder the War Raiders too much either.
No, not at all.
I feel like they've had a pretty dominant run so far and they've been good champions, but
Yep.
I feel like there's really good story potential for New Day moving forward, and we'll touch on that in our WrestleMania preview. Moving on to the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Gunther versus Jey Uso. They had a face-to-face confrontation in the ring.
I've got a gripe with this segment, but...
You do?
No, you tell me...
Well, I actually really liked how Jey came out, especially like setting the tone after last week, watching his brother Jimmy get brutalized in a bloody mess, beaten down. Comes out, all black, no yeeting, comes to the ring. I think I know what your gripe may be, but Jey gets into the ring and he starts cutting a promo and he's talking to Gunther about, like, talk to your family, talk to your mother.
But before that point, you even had Gunther get his microphone up and Jey just slaps the microphone away. You're not talking.
Excellent.
This is for me.
I think this put Jey in a really good light following what happened last week. And in a different light, like he's putting the fun, the yeeting, everything aside because shit's now serious. He begins talking about family and the fact that he had to talk to his mother about his brother being laid out in hospital.
Yeet.
And that's, I guess that's both of our gripes with this segment.
Yeet.
The absolute disrespect of the crowd to be yeet. I know that they do that after every time that Jey pauses in a promo.
Yeet.
And during this time, he was talking about really sensitive, emotional stuff.
Yeet.
And he kept going to the crowd, like...
Yeet.
And they just wouldn't listen.
Yeet.
Shut up. Stop making yourselves the center of attention in moments like this.
That is absolutely my gripe.
I'm sitting there watching it live and I was like, this is great promo work from Jey, having that emotional investment for the story.
Yep.
And the crowd just ruined it.
He was getting undermined by his own crowd. And I think the problem to that partially is how over Jey is himself and maybe not so much however Jey is, but however Yeet is. Because that's all the crowd wanted to do. And you should have had a bit of brain about you in terms of the crowd. When Jey comes out through the crowd, which he always does, and he's not yeeting, right? There was none of this as you were coming down.
No, he just...
You've kind of got to hang on a second.
Somebody walked down those stairs.
Why is Jey not... Why are we not all doing this?
Yeah.
Why is Pat McAfee not on the table doing this? Oh, we're not? Okay. Maybe we tone back our yeet. No, we're going to keep yeeting the whole time because we want to yeet, yeet, yeet. No. Let Jey cut a serious promo.
Yeet.
And the fact that, it's not like I'm going to beat you, oos, yeet. I'm the best there is. Yeet. I won the Royal Rumble. Yeet. No, it's my brother's in the hospital. Yeet. I had to go tell my mum about him.
Yeet. Like, come on.
I haven't seen my family all week. I've been crying. Yeet. It was, the crowd didn't read the room and Jey held on really well. He kept on trying to tell them to be quiet.
Yeah. He tried. He did his best to get the crowd to
can't take it off Jey.
Cut out, but
not Jey's fault.
No,
this was
absolutely not.
Purely the crowd's fault. And the way that they nearly derailed this, and Gunther having no mic and no interaction with this at all, just standing there stoically watching it.
But you could see Gunther's emotion develop, and you could see trepidation start to appear on his face. And he looked rattled by the end of that promo.
Well, the fact that Jey was like, he had to tell his mum that he was scared. Yeah. And then he realised,
I'm not scared of you anymore.
Scared anymore.
And that's when Gunther's, his whole tone started to change.
And we've said this for months on this pod, is that this feud needed something. Jimmy had to die to bring Jey and Gunther back to life.
Yeah.
And it has absolutely done that because this was a perfect follow-up to a brutal beating down from Gunther. Gunther didn't need to do a thing this week. Didn't have to.
He just
did it
stood
all
there
last
and reacted.
week. Destroying Jimmy the way that he did, choking him out the blood, the whole lot. Gunther has had his say. This was the time that you needed Jey to get serious and call it out, and he did. Crowd almost ruined it, but Jey pushed through, and I think this
was still a great segment, though.
Very good segment, and this just fires everybody up for next week for WrestleMania.
Yeah, very interested to see what's going to be happening on the Go Home show with this.
Yeah, I hope Jimmy's not back yet.
No.
But
I think maybe like if you want to put some more emphasis on the emotional side of it, have him rock up in a wheelchair at WrestleMania. Like he got beat down that bad, like he's having trouble recovering. And he's having him in a wheelchair. He's still like slightly concussed. He can't walk properly.
roll him out through the concession stand at the toppers before Jay walks into the crowd.
Just like push him downstairs. That's too far. All right.
It's touching a cane thing. Didn't he do that with Zack Ryder?
That was Brock Lesnar with Zach Gowen. And then, yes, off the actual
Kane did it off the
Raw
stage, but yeah,
to
Brock
Zack
did
Ryder.
down the stairs.
Brock
That's
did
right.
it first. To a dude with one leg. We grew up in a wild time, man.
Could you imagine doing that in Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas? It'd take you
He'd
4.5 minutes to get to
he'd
the
be
bottom.
tumbling for ages. Ages. Capping off Monday Night Raw, we got Seth Rollins in the ring, and he called out Paul Heyman, or was it the other way around? Paul was there first.
Paul
and
was
Seth,
first.
Yeah.
Because Paul came out first to say, no matter what happens, I'm not going to turn my back on my tribal chief, and I'm not going to turn my back on my best friend.
He's absolutely
CM
turning
Punk.
back on both.
Is he? Oh, jeez.
Foreshadowing, man. Just subtle little. I think they're making it too obvious that Paul's going to turn. Because he keeps saying, I'm not going to turn on my best friend. I'm not going to turn on my tribal chief.
Well, when you look at what the way, and this, I even messaged you when this was happening when I was watching this, that this is kind of what I called was going to happen with Seth, almost to a T.
Yeah.
Thank you, you're welcome. But what Seth was saying was facts, and it's kind of the way that Triple H has booked his heels is that they tell me when I'm telling lies.
Yeah.
And the way that he calls out Roman and he says that, he's wise man, but then WrestleMania 40 happened last year and then he disappeared. I helped him lose and he disappeared. And what happened to you? He left you as Solo Sikoa. What happened to that family? They bullied you. They beat you down. They put you through a table in front of your children in Madison Square Garden. CM Punk, your best friend. What happened to him 10 years ago when he walked away from the company and left you as it was? Did he come back and see you? No. Did he come back at War Games? Was he the first choice to be in that War Games match? No, he wasn't. Seth Rollins was the first choice. Why did Punk go to help Paul and Roman out? To get a favour.
Yeah.
Not because he was your best mate, not because he wanted to, because he wanted something from it. And the way that Heyman sold all of this, with it just, you could see the little mouse on the wheel going through his brain, everything just
And like
clicking through, and he's
realizing
like,
that, shit, Seth Rollins is right.
and he was. And then Seth got a little aggressive and he's like, look, the best way to resolve this is for you to just get out of the picture. And I'm more than happy to do that. How much is it going to cost?
Yeah,
Is it this much?
pushing him.
This much? And then Punk
comes
comes
Punk.
down, makes the save. This is exactly what we wanted. This is exactly how I called it, in that, Punk will get around trying to defend Paul. He'll get stomped. And then Seth will stomp Heyman. And he didn't.
No.
He pulled short.
Just short. And then he slowly squats down, grabs the microphone that Paul Heyman was holding. And he says, now you owe me a favour.
And now I feel that next week on SmackDown, on your go-home show, the same thing is going to happen.
You do it in front of Roman.
Yep.
And then Paul Heyman, under Roman's watch, gets hurt by Seth Rollins. And then Punk and Roman can now go head-to-head like, he's your wise man, you're supposed to be protecting him, yet he succumbed to a stomp under your watch and not mine.
But he's your best friend and he nearly got stomped in front of you and you didn't even stop it either. Neither of you were, both of you were at fault, to be fair. It's all Seth now. But this is what we needed. We needed Seth to get involved in this story and this has done it. Yeah. This was brilliant.
Because we talked on it last week that Seth was kind of like the third wheel and he was starting to feel out of place in this feud. And this just got him right back in there.
Square in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Before we move on to SmackDown,
Yes.
the last thing I want to touch, or there's two last things I want to touch on from Raw.
Okay. What did I miss?
The first thing that I want to touch on is the comedian that's doing the roast of WrestleMania,
Oh.
Tony, whatever.
Oh,
Don't ever let him on commentary again. That was terrible.
terrible, bro. It was so bad.
Yeah, because Michael Cole's been announcing since the Jurassic era.
Look, the slander to Michael Cole, that was funny. Got some chuckles.
Oh, those moves were as stiff as Big E's neck.
That's crossed on the line.
That was shit. He was bad. So yeah, look, don't put him on. And look, he's a roast comedian. I get it. They always push the lines, and I love comedy and I love roasts.
He was so tone deaf though. It was just like very monotone.
But that's the point of those kind of comedians, is they are meant to be dry and flat, and they are meant to say the most inappropriate things.
I think it's so jarring because we have such like colourful
Absolutely,
commentators.
that is absolutely the problem. Yep. In comparison to Cole and Pat, he was shockingly bad. So I don't think he fits at all. He should not have been put on a full match.
No.
Maybe a backstage segment with someone to make a joke or two, and that's fine. But that bad idea. But the opposite side to that, in terms of the comedian space, was Bert Kreischer. Behind them,
Dude's so funny.
he's hilarious. I love Bert. I've seen him live. He is absolutely phenomenal. But like him getting backstage with Otis ripping their shirts off and stuff was fun. Did you see the post match?
I haven't watched it, but I did see what happened.
So the dark stuff, Punk was walking around in Seth's big fur jacket, doing these sort of things. I believe he got some itches and rashes from it, which he thinks is from Seth, but that's,
Makes
neither
sense.
here nor there.
Checks out.
But then, Bert got into the ring, and A-Town Down Under were there somehow. I don't know. They were calling him out. And so Punk, I believe, hit them both with GTSs and then just picked them up one by one and threw them to Bert, and Bert just massive choke slams. Massive choke slams to both. And look, I think we said this as well months ago when it was Jelly Roll. Austin Theory, the way he sells a choke slam, the way that he jumps.
I can just picture it.
It was awesome. Like, if you go watch it, he sells it really well. But then Grayson, I think, he knows how well Austin's going to sell it.
So he's got to put in the extra mile too.
And Bert looked like it was a bigger choke slam than anything Kane or Undertaker's ever done in their entire careers. It was fantastic.
That's so good.
But that is how you use those celebrities, especially comedians. Have a quick, fun backstage segment, put them in the dark thing, get the crowd to pop and cheer for them. Don't put them on commentary.
No. Just wasn't it. Kicking off SmackDown chats, Randy Orton opens the show. Now, I thought I'd spoiled something regarding this because I saw a little clip on our way back from Sydney this morning of Randy and Nick Aldis talking in the ring. Mm-hmm. And then the lights went down behind the crowd. I was like, oh, close social media. I don't want any spoilers. I assumed lights going down meant Aleister Black.
Oh, you go way ahead of yourself, brother.
It was Solo Sikoa.
Wop.
And we're just like, we both looked at each other like, oh no, this is going to be the WrestleMania match, isn't it?
I really hope it's not.
Oh, I really hope it's not, because that does not interest me in the slightest. They came out, attacked Randy Orton, and then LA Knight made the save, which Dan was super thrilled about. And that led to our tag team main event, LA Knight and Randy Orton versus Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga. And Randy and I was about to say KO. Randy and LA Knight went on to...
Bring on my boy KO, man. It's still too soon.
Randy and LA went on to win the match with your favourite finishing move, the BFT.
Can I call that out, please?
Sure.
Because...
Look, I'll side with you on this one. That was a terrible looking BFT.
And what, to me, makes it so bad is that 30 seconds before this, Tama Tonga took a beautiful RKO, square in that middle of the ring, sold it perfectly, nailed it, it looked awesome, bang, he took it. And then LA Knight gets in and hits a BFT and looks terrible.
Yeah.
And I'm not blaming Tama Tonga because he just took a really good RKO. And it's essentially the same mechanics, except LA Knight sucks. Fire me.
Dan was very happy with what happened next because LA Knight got assaulted by Jacob Fatu, his WrestleMania opponent. I thought I'd put the jiggles in there.
The arms.
Triple moonsaults to close SmackDown this week. So excellent. I hope he wins the title. I hope Solo doesn't cost him the title.
I feel like he's going to. I feel like if we're not putting Solo with Randy, I think Solo will cost Jacob, and that'll lead to the Jacob and Solo. Because right now, none of us really want to see Jacob Solo.
No.
Right? We all pretty
That's why they booked the
say,
United States match.
Yeah, but we all pretty clearly can tell Jacob is better than Solo. Yep. Jacob's now above him in the pecking order.
Yep.
We're good. Yep. How do you adjust that? You make Solo cost Jacob, so Jacob then has to fight him.
Yeah. It's going to be a bit of a bummer.
Probably.
Only a couple more things to talk about from SmackDown that aren't women related, which we've already
There's
touched
a lot
on.
of women's matches on this card.
Technically, when you break it down, there were 7.
7 or 8.
7. The gauntlet match,
Yep.
which is one team against 5 other teams. So that's 5 matches.
And Charlotte, Tiffy and Roxy and Chelsea and
7.
Zelina. Okay, 7 matches. It's a lot.
Props. AEW could never.
You're not. You are booking the women's division. You're just not booking it very well.
Yes. Drew and Priest has been confirmed as a Sin City street fight for
They
WrestleMania.
love their alliteration and their local
They
names,
do.
don't
They love their naming of the regular matches.
Yeah.
How is it different from a Philadelphia street fight or a
Brisbane Brawl?
or a just street fight?
No DQ.
And then like there's a whole discussion about no DQ, no holds barred, street fight. They're all
balls
the same.
count anywhere.
They're all the same, bro.
They are all
They're
the
all
same.
the same. Drew has confirmed, which is really funny because there were reports during the week that he may miss WrestleMania after they just announced the match last week due to having real glass in his eye. And he conveniently pulls that eye patch up and he's like, I'm 100% clear.
Really? No way. I'm so surprised.
And half of the reason why we don't report on this shit, like during the week on social media, is because I just wait to see what happens.
Because you got worked, brother.
Well, yeah, work. And I don't have the time to like verify sources, like through 5 different sources to fact check when I'm working.
Unless it's LA
So
Knight's
I
wedding.
send stuff through in our little wrestling chat, and then Dan just like looks at it and he's like, it's fake. And I was like, I didn't have fucking time to source check. I just saw it, laughed, then sent it.
What was that even for? I can't remember what it was.
I can't remember.
But it was something that was so absurdly stupid. I was like, are you serious?
Oh, it's been like that a couple times.
Yeah.
You won't let me live down the fucking LA Knight.
I will not.
thing.
It's because you were so determined. I remember me and Ted being like, oh, okay, I haven't heard that news, but no worries. Like, you can talk about it.
And like that's the problem. Since then, I've just been like, before bringing stuff to the podcast, I check.
Let me see if I can
But
find
not for the wrestling chat. I just
No, the wrestling chat, you eat everything you want in there. That's fun. Keep talking about this, I mean, probably okayly booked part of Drew
No,
and
I thought it was
Priest.
pretty good. Priest, because they advertised it as a face-off. Priest started coming out, and he just got attacked by Drew McIntyre straight away. They went back and forth. Drew cut his promo in the ring as Damien was getting escorted to the back. Damien comes back out. They brawl some more. Drew gets on top, lays the steps out side by side and hits Priest with a very vicious-sounding Broken Dreams on
The Future Shock
steps.
DDT, you
That's the one. Broken. He doesn't call anything Break Dreams. That was his old music, wasn't it?
It was, yes. Bring it back.
Future Shock, bring it back. Yeah, that's it.
Because the Future Shock
That
is
Future
also
Shock
the
sounds so
paradigm shift, right? It's the same double on DDT,
Yeah, technically.
which is also the same one that McCall
But also,
used to do.
Drew does it. Drew does it better.
Of course he does. Everyone does it anything better than Moxley. Anything better than Moxley.
Yeah, pretty much. We had another amazing match from Rey Fenix. His second ever WWE match.
Oh, with Birdo, yep.
with Birdo. We've got some thoughts about some potential swapsies with the luchadors on SmackDown.
Because I think the way that Santos Escobar, or as my child likes to call him,
Escobar.
Sandy Toes, the way that he wanted to shake Rey Fenix, and I think the way that he's trying to say is that that's the kind of luchador I want in Elgato del Fantasma. I want someone like him, not you plebs that just can't beat him. Like you said that he was just all flippy and everything and he'd still beat you.
Yeah.
And then Andrade comes
Rey
out.
Fenix is so good in the ring, dude. Oh my God.
Oh, he's brilliant. And then Andrade comes out and says, you are good. Like, Ray is a brilliant luchador, but you're also pretty good.
Yeah.
And Umberto's like, mind your own business, mate. Walks off. So I can kind of see maybe a switching of Sandy Toes from heel to face for him to go with Ray and Penta, and Andrade to then maybe go heel with Elgato and whoever else they want to try and put into some luchador stuff.
Could be a really interesting prospect.
Change all that up because, like we said on Raw, man, the LWO guys are phenomenal in the ring. Obviously, Penta is brilliant. Rey Fenix, the amount of flips and stuff that guy can do. The MMB, the Mexican Muscle Buster that he finishes, they're all so incredibly talented.
Such a good finisher too.
Just let them go. Just
go
book
ahead.
an 8-person tag match and just give them 20 minutes and just say, just do what you want.
Just
do
watch shit.
Just watch the crowd
him
go mental.
up and down the ropes and all over the ring. Oh, I would love it.
And then
I
you
just sit
can-
there laughing the whole time because I'd be like, this is ridiculous.
But then you get them and you put them against opposing styles like a Chad Gable that can just wrestle and throw them around everywhere.
Yeah.
Could you imagine Ray Phoenix jumping around, flipping, doing all of his moves, going up onto the ropes, then going on the second rope, jumping up, then flipping in, and then to a Gunther chop?
Oh,
Just smacking him out of the sky?
yeah.
Like, how much fun would that be?
Yeah.
I think,
I'm down.
like, as much as we all love the idea of the lucha versus lucha, and that we've got the greatest luchador ever in El Grande Americano against Rey Mysterio, and that's a great match to have the two of them, I would like to see the conflicting styles.
Yeah.
And bring me back Bronson Reed and get him to throw Penta around. Give me
Absolutely.
Ilya Dragunov against Penta.
Oh, I can't wait for Ilya to come back.
Oh, so good.
Last thing to touch on from SmackDown. Cody Rhodes cut a promo.
Thanks, everyone.
It was a
like
promo.
and subscribe.
Yeah.
To comments under.
Look, I don't think he really said much of interest. I think it was just there to get the crowd to pop, talk about the WrestleMania match with John Cena, and then,
I mean, it was there to show the lineage of the belts, right?
yeah, he had all the different belts get brought out, which was like, you got to point out the undisputed one from the Ruthless Aggression era, because that's the best belt design they've ever had, to me.
And then point out the one that was the very Eddie one, and the whole crowd chanting Eddie.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, yeah, showing all the different styles of it, the lineage of it, and then what it is now. And I think Cody's main point is that, you know, no matter what you do, when you have that belt, you are the champion of the people. You're the champion of the crowd.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you're fighting against the champion, you're fighting against us as the universe. And I think that's fine. But again, it's kind of like Cody taking the story away from him versus John to make it John versus the WWE universe, which is fine. But I kind of wanted a bit more teeth sunk in between Cody and John.
Yeah, it definitely didn't get me invested.
It didn't add anything to what you had from
didn't add anything.
the other shows.
Which, like, being 8 days out from WrestleMania, I wanted to add something and bring something to the table.
And, I mean, he did try and say that, you know, John's too good for Seattle, so he won't come here, but he will be in Las Vegas next week. Like, cheap pop to get the crowd to boo him for that, but I don't think he needed to do that. I think you're going to boo Cena regardless. Yeah. But at least him being on the go-home SmackDown is good.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
We've got one more thing before the match, because if it was just the next thing you saw was John Cena walking in at WrestleMania.
Give me the old Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns title tug of war, where they're both just like there and they're holding onto the belt and just trying to rip it out of each other's hands.
Right? The Rock's got to be around somewhere, surely.
I think they just leave it for WrestleMania, man.
But you can't leave The Rock for the main event of night 2, where nothing for the entire weekend. Considering you've got the Slammy Awards, you've got the Hall of Fame, you've got the WrestleMania after parties, you've got the roast of WrestleMania, you've got Stand and Deliver, you've got night 1, you've got a 3-hour pre-show, you've got a 2-hour post-show. Like, there is about 47.5 hours worth of WWE programming from Thursday to Sunday.
I expect to see The Rock for all of 10 minutes.
Jeez, that's rough if that's the case.
Yeah, but like, look at what he's done last year in the lead up to WrestleMania 40. Like, how active he was on social media.
Yeah.
He was there like every week, every second week. We've had nothing from him since Elimination Chamber. I don't see where they work him into the fray now, because they're just focusing so heavily on John Cena and Cody Rhodes, and they've barely mentioned The Rock in the lead up.
Yeah, they've said his name once.
And even then, that was that was a passing comment. Yeah, I forgot to mention at the start of the show, I got a brand new card in the house in a nice, thick, acrylic protective case.
Thick boy.
The Rock, John Cena, and Travis Scott. I bought 3 of these, one for Dan, one for me, one for my brother, in the hopes we might get
triple order?
Well, yeah, that was because I haven't seen that been pulled yet. So I was like, I've got cards coming, maybe I've got it. Yeah. But then I was hoping to get like some sort of color variant whatsoever. But no, we just got 3 base cards.
Yeah, but it still looks pretty cool.
Welcome to gambling, folks.
If you do like...
Don't gamble or gamble responsibly.
If you do like cards, specifically WWE cards, hit up Stomp trading cards, and shout out happy birthday to Tomo from Stomp.
Happy birthday, mate. Thanks for most of these cards, to be honest. We're going to wrap it up there. Keep an eye out on all our socials this week. We're going to be pretty active, more active than we usually are. We've got our AEW Dynasty review coming out in the pipelines. We've got our Slammy predictions for that show. We've got this episode right now, and then we'll also have our WrestleMania preview as well, where we do predictions for every match that has been currently confirmed 8 days out from WrestleMania.
That's 4 videos in a week. Look at us go. Look at this
we're
content
going to crank
farming.
out the content, and hopefully we get some people that enjoy our stuff.
Yes.
Fingers crossed.
Like, comment, subscribe, join us on the Discord, come have a chat.
Yeah.
We love to see it. We love to talk it.
Absolutely.
WrestleMania is our Christmas. Wrestling fans, get involved.
Yeah. Like, subscribe, all socials, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, boom, we're there. X, maybe not so much, but that one's Dan's responsibility.
I'll be on for WrestleMania. I'll live tweet it.
Thank you for tuning in. We will see you next time down under the mat. Too sweet.